Today, at a naturalization ceremony in Indianapolis, 38 people were removed and not allowed to say the oath into this country, despite doing everything the right way. They were removed. Anyone still defending this administration is morally bankrupt.
I'm going to show you a few videos of people that came online to share the stories of how they went to their green card interview and their spouse got detained by ICE or they got picked up by ICE. And some of them don't even know where they are. Some of them don't know when they'll be able to bond them out, yeah, so I'm going to show you those videos right now.
Get ready with me while I explain how ICE took my husband and why we might lose everything because of it. We were at our marriage-based green card interview, which is like the last step to becoming a lawful permanent resident. We were totally expecting to walk out with a green card that day when ICE barged in the middle of our interview, took my husband, handcuffed him, and took him away. No explanation, no valid basis. Seeing as we were about to move back to Minnesota, where I'm from, he was our sole source of income before he was arrested. And now I'm sitting here trying to think about how I'm going to pay for our rent and all of our bills while dealing with this disaster because they cannot tell us when he'll ever be released. We live in San Diego to try to fight this and get him out of custody because he doesn't deserve to be there. The thing no one's really talking about is the fact that overstaying a visa is not a crime. Right now, San Diego is taking people and putting them in deportation proceedings for overstaying their visa, whether that be a work visa or a student visa. My husband was here on student visa. And overstaying is not a crime. It is in civil court. It's a civil violation, very similar to a citizen not paying their car registration on time, not renewing our registration on time. My husband has done nothing to warrant being put in an ICE detention facility. He's currently being held at the Otay Mesa Detention Center on the border of the United States and Mexico. I figure if telling our story will also help educate the public, even if one person sees this, I don't really care, but to at least start spreading the news that it's not about doing things the right way. We were doing things the right way. We were at our green card interview. We were in the court system, but they started deportation proceedings anyway. We've been married for over a year, and we need to start getting this information out there because people who are okay with these proceedings, I feel like they would feel differently if they really knew what was going on.
I'm going to tell the story about how I got arrested by ICE at my green card interview at the USCIS office in San Diego. So my appointment was at 8 in the morning, and my husband, who was a US citizen and was petitioning for me, was there, and our attorney was there as well. By 8:20, we got called back for our interview, and everything seemed pretty normal. The USCIS agent was just asking us typical questions like, where did we meet, what year, how it was when we started dating, when we got married, who was at our wedding, different things like that that they ask at any other interview. Towards the end of the interview, she started slowing down with her questions and was typing a lot on the computer, and that's when me and my husband started to get worried. At the end, she said that all of our evidence was great, that the pictures we submitted were really good, and she was approving our I-130 petition. And then she said, I'm so sorry, this is not my decision, but there are some people outside waiting to speak with you. Since we had been prepped by our attorney, we knew that if at any point they said there was a second part of an interview or that other people wanted to speak to us, that meant that I was going to be arrested. As soon as she said that, I had tears in my eyes, and I remember looking at my husband and my attorney, and I was just speechless. I couldn't believe that this was happening. At this point, the USCIS agent walks out, and 3 ICE agents walk in, and I'm sobbing. So one of them turns to my husband and says, "Is she okay? Can she understand me? Why is she crying?" So I look at him and I say, "Yes, I can understand you. I speak English and I'm just in shock." So he says that they have a warrant for my arrest and they're there to detain me. And at that point, my lawyer stands up and is asking to see the arrest warrant. And I just look over to my husband just in complete disbelief that this is even happening. And one of the ICE agents starts explaining to us that he knows I'm not a criminal. He knows I didn't do anything wrong, that unfortunately, this isn't his decision, this is just his job, and he is just following orders. He then starts to speak directly to my husband and tells them that he promises that they're gonna treat me respectfully, that He knows I'm not a criminal. They're gonna treat me well. He kept saying the words, "We're gonna treat your lady with respect." He told me that I can give any valuables to my husband and that they were gonna give me a few minutes to say goodbye, and they walked out of the room. They gave me the option to keep my phone so that I could have it when I got released, but I thought it would be better if my husband had it, so I gave him my phone, my purse, my rings, my jewelry, all of that stuff. I wrote down my attorney's phone number just in case. She told me that I could refuse to sign any of the paperwork they gave me there unless it was paperwork that says that they were releasing me. Then I hugged my husband and they came back in and said it was time to go. So they took me down to the underground parking structure of the USCIS office, but when we got there, the van wasn't there yet, so they took me back up to the USCIS office and I waited for 20 or so minutes in their little headquarters area. There was a long white table with a lot of ICE agents sitting around talking. So they sat me down and I looked to my left and there's a bulletin board with names printed on it, like a checklist, and I see my name printed on there. It's the very first one and it's highlighted. So I don't know what that means, but it seems like they had already decided I was going to get arrested and there was nothing I could say or do that day that would stop that. After 20 minutes, they took me back down to the underground parking structure and there was a van waiting there and 2 officers standing outside of it. That's where they patted me down to see if I had anything else on me. They put me in handcuffs and ankle cuffs and put me in the van. There was already one man waiting in the van when I got there. We waited for the next 3 hours until 12:40 for more people to get into the van. They kept bringing down more people and I overheard the officers saying that there was supposed to be 23 that day. We ended up leaving around 12:40 with 16 of us in the van. The whole time they referred to us as bodies. We have one more body coming, or oh, we're supposed to get 23 bodies and we have 16 bodies on the way. So they took all of us a couple blocks down to the federal building. So we went into the basement and that is where I was processed for the next 24 hours with no change of clothes, no bed, no toothbrush, no anything, just a cell. So I'm really lucky that I was able to get out. I know that I have a lot of privilege, so I want to make sure that I use that luck and that privilege to talk about everything that happened and talk about the federal building and the detention center and even what's going on now, because I know it's important to use my voice to uplift others. So this is something that I'm going to continue talking about so that people know what is happening.
People who think that they're just getting criminals. I am an example of them tearing our family apart.
Lexi Sellis, a U.S. citizen, never thought something like this would happen to her family.
I just feel betrayed. I feel no U.S. citizen should have to go through this.
Her husband, Jair A. Sellis, was in his final steps to get his green card when he was detained by ICE at his immigration interview on Tuesday.
We've tried to do everything the right way. We have. And he's not here.
What does JR's case show?
JR's case shows that the rhetoric that is we're going after the worst of the worst, that's not true.
Sellis immigration attorney Andy Armstrong.
Lexi and JR have been married, lawfully married, filled out the proper paperwork to apply for residency for JR. He entered when he was a young child on a visa. And so he had a legal entry into the country, which allows him to adjust status here in the United States.
2 News reached out to USCIS and ICE for comment on this case. I asked why Jair A. Sellis was detained, but they did not get back to me in time for this report.
Under what circumstances can an applicant be detained at an interview?
I mean, any applicant who's out of status, this is any person, whether they're applying at USCIS or they're just out on the street, if they're not in a legal status to be.
I'm really sad that families are being separated, and I hope everything works out for these families. I hope this whole deportation thing, they're saying that they're just deporting illegal criminals, like people that came here illegally and then committed a crime. But now as we are seeing it, that's not what is happening. They're actually deporting people that have never committed crimes before. Students that are here to go to school are being detained and are being sent back to their countries without completing their programs that they came here for. It's just so much going on that I don't know. It's just really, it's just so much going on. There's just so much going on, and I want all the immigrants out there to be safe, but like, I feel really bad for everyone that is going through this right now, especially you thinking you're going to get your green card or your citizenship, and then you get detained and you get deported. It's really sad. But yeah, let me know what you think about this right now. But just be safe, and thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.